I want to welcome everybody here today for the Tucson Metro Chamber's Knowledge at Noon. I want to advertise what we have Monday coming up. It will be Cox. Lisa Lavallo will be talking to us about how to maximize your internet experience, which I think all of us can use. I know we're sharing our computers and stuff with children and spouses and finding that sometimes our bandwidth isn't enough to cover everything we need to cover. So I think it'll be a very interesting topic. Please go to the Tucson Metro Chamber's website and get signed up for that. So with that being said, we'll get started on today's meeting, and we have Kerry Stratford with the Caliber Group, and she's going to be talking to us about the best marketing communication strategies to reach your audiences during these uncertain times. Kerry has asked that you write your questions down for her on the on-chat feature, and she will be taking all of her questions at the end of this meeting. So if everyone can put the chat feature on, and as you do have questions, write those down, that'd be great. And I will help her field those at the end of this meeting. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Kerry, and I will be muting myself, and we'll continue on with this section today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for joining us today, and for all of our webinars. I know our Caliber team has had a couple this week. And also thanks for the Chamber for offering great content to business owners right now, because we all certainly need the help right now. As a company, Caliber, we're interested in being helpful to companies right now who are struggling, and so this is an important way that we're trying to help in our community. So to give you a little background on me, I'm a business owner, and like many of you, I've been providing business and marketing strategy to companies and organizations in this community and around the US for 25 years. Our company, the Caliber Group, helps businesses grow and build value through positioning, communication, and leadership strategies. So today, I'm going to share with you how you can remain nimble with your marketing strategies, and as your business and your customers go through changes based on what's happening in our world. I think we can all agree that we're living in unprecedented times, and it's really even unusual for those of us who've lived through recessions and global issues in the past. You know, my business has lived through 9/11, the recession of 2008, 2009, and other downtimes in the market. But this is a different thing. It's really left a mark on our society, and I think in the coming years, it's likely for us to look back and see that it was a pivot point in the way commerce works. And I think the question on everyone's mind, I know certainly the people that I talk to, is how you should move forward with business development activities and your marketing during these unsettling times. So as a business owner, you're looking for ways to survive the wave that Americans are shifting their budgets, they're adjusting their media consumption, they're altering their buying behaviors. And so that's what we're going to talk through today. We're going to share some recent data. We're going to see what's happening in our market and across the country. I'm going to share you some local and some national examples and provide you some insights on how you can take advantage of this time to position your business to not only get through this crisis, but hopefully come out on the other side in a better place. So as far as what we're seeing in terms of activity, there is still lots of marketing and advertising activity going on out there, as you have all seen. We're seeing advertisers holding steady, a few pausing, and most changing their messaging, while others are ramping up their presence to gain market share and outperform their competition. Really smart marketers sort of tend to take advantage of periods when their competition is focused on other priorities. This graph will show you some of the industries and how they may be impacted with less spending. In addition to these, we know that the travel vertical is obviously experiencing really major declines. But we're also seeing spikes in certain industries. Things that you would expect, of course, industries that are essential to our everyday needs, things that serve remote work or our stay-at-home lifestyle. Brands that are holding strong or seeing growth include those like Ace Hardware, Dyson, and others that support home maintenance. People that are having a lot of time for hobbies and interests right now, so there's also a huge interest in that category. Clearly, streaming services for movies to support all of our binge watching, and entertainment and gaming are really strong right now as well. Web, tech, and companies that support our technology and work to be able to work and play from home are also holding strong. Our other strong categories include food brands that have been traditionally always delivery services, such as like Domino's, and also CPG or consumer packaged goods, telecommunications, cell phone companies, internet service providers. Those are all brands that are holding strong right now. But no matter what industry you're in, there are ways that you can maintain your brand presence and support your customers, and in some cases, even gain market share. So we're going to take a deeper dive into how you can do those things right now. So during this time, you need to pivot your strategy, your business strategy, and the way you market it. You'll need to find out how your business can be relevant to your customers right at this moment. And you want to, at this time, solve, not sell. Brands that are still selling are coming off looking sort of tone deaf to the environment, and that's not a good thing. You need to have a plan that is flexible because no one has all the answers right now. So to do the best you can with the information you have in front of you, and be ready to make changes as you move forward with new information as it comes to light. Listening is going to be very key. You're going to need to listen to your audience and how they're feeling, and adjust your marketing strategies and business strategies based on the new information as it comes. So what does pivoting look like? It can come in many forms, and I think all of you can say that you've seen examples of these in the past few weeks. Things like a brick and mortar shop selling things online, or all of our Tucson restaurants doing takeout only. A personal trainer or a gym owner or yoga teacher that's offering virtual training sessions online. People are getting really creative with how they're taking their businesses and moving it to online, and supporting their customers in a different way. So I think the question you have to ask yourself is, how can you continue to offer your services, or a modification maybe of your services, to your customers, and still provide them with value and meet them where they need it, which right now could be at home. So items you could offer are things like extended return windows, increased online customer service, or a promotion where a percentage of your profits or purchases go directly to furloughed store workers. You could also look for new ways to serve your customers while they are mostly at home, and businesses that can think on their feet and show that ability to sort of swiftly adjust will come out ahead of the others. So I thought this was a really great promotion that Hacienda del Sol is doing. I mean, we've all heard of staycations, but what about a stay-in-place staycation? You're getting really bored at your house, and a really smart pivot for their messaging to shelter in their place and go there and stay at Hacienda del Sol. They're also offering dining options such as takeout and allowing you to pre-order. Pre-ordering is something I haven't seen a lot of people do. I thought this was a really interesting pivot as well. And at a time when many other resorts have closed down, they're really thinking through the issue and coming up with sort of new ways to solve their customers' challenges. And they're also at the same time continuing that needed cash flow and keeping their staff employed and working. And of course, the changes that you're going to make to your services at this time really need to be marketed to your customers. So this particular company pivoted and started making masks when they saw an unmet opportunity. And every business should be doing this right now. They should be pivoting their business strategy. Not all of us are going to make masks, but there's got to be something that you can do to adjust your business for the current market. And of course, depending on that business, the business that you're in, the way you pivot will be different. So a second thing to think about is shifting for people to help them meet their challenges. So in a recent survey that just came out recently, they said 89% of the respondents said that brands should shift their products to ones that can help people meet challenges. 89% also want brands to offer free or low price products to health workers and high risk individuals and those who have had been impacted and their job has been impacted. 84% also said they want brands to be a reliable news source, keeping people informed. So there's a lot of expectations out there for brands. People are looking to brands to be leaders and to provide information. So in the short term, marketers will need to find ways to be helpful to people trying to meet their most basic needs. And in the long term, I think we're going to need to sort of adapt to this new normal and work to understand what it means for all aspects of your industry when the home becomes people's new headquarters. I think this is a great local example. Sparkle Cleaners is creating a massive goodwill with this promotion to clean and provide masks. They're really raising the awareness of their business, and they're providing a service that is really needed at this time. So businesses know that this type of goodwill will have a halo effect, and that halo effect can last for a very long time, long after the crisis has passed. People are home looking for discounts or looking to save money. They're looking for ways to engage in a different way. And so keeping a steady stream of revenue to have your doors open, I think Sparkle is doing a really great job right now. There's another local example. Hotel Congress is offering for sale comfort food that you can pick up and take home and cook yourself. So it's all pre-made and you just put in your oven and cook it. Certainly not something that you would have thought of Hotel Congress for, but definitely a smart pivot to keep their chefs and their cooking staff employed. It's been interesting to watch the big brands and the national brands change their messaging. Best Buy quickly, as soon as people started going home and working from home, they started offering discounts and promotions on items that we all needed to be at home for working, laptops and printers and things like that. So, and of course, all these folks are doing it with free delivery or curbside pickup. So be thinking of those types of items that you can offer as well, maybe adjusting things that you've done in the past. Numerous stores have shifted their hours to address needs for the most vulnerable populations, so sort of the elderly or those who are at risk. These are really coming from people listening to what challenges people have and adjusting their strategy based on those needs and those challenges. So things are changing really fast right now, so you have to continue to listen to your customer base and make sure that the changes in their lives, that you're responding to those. Another thing that you have to do from a messaging standpoint is to communicate with empathy, education, and facts. People are dealing with stress and anxiety very differently right now. I'm seeing people nesting, I'm seeing them comfort eating, and of course, retail therapy is still a real thing. It's just happening online right now. Your message should consider the state of mind that your customers are in and how they're feeling. You're going to want to be transparent and honest. You want to forge those authentic connections with your customers and communicate on a larger scale while still making it feel personal to them. You want to lead with empathy. People, they need that kindness and positivity and resilience right now. And there's a big movement in the world for mindful marketing, and mindful marketing is all about awareness and empathy, and I think it really resonates in today's climate. You're also going to need to adjust your tone during the crisis. Make them gentle, friendly, and helpful. And be conscious and aware of how your messaging will or will not be received. Sort of an excited or celebratory tone could seem tone deaf right now. And so it's on everyone's mind. And you probably all have seen something, sort of a pre-coronavirus message that you've seen and you say, wow, it seems out of place or insensitive during this time. You want to use your brand to educate and support. 85% of respondents to a recent survey said that brands should use their power to educate people on how to protect themselves from the pandemic. So you have to be careful of advertising that's too humorous or too lighthearted, because they're looking for a different type of information right now. And if your marketing is not relevant, it's just going to be ignored. So really being helpful, offering information and connections and content that people need will help you build a strong brand bond with your brand. So KFC has been advertising their hand washing and sanitation policies, and it's definitely something on everyone's mind. I know I've asked that question, is it still safe to eat out? Can I pick up food and is it safe? So they just addressed that head on and created a graphic, and they've been sharing it widely. The Waffle House doing something just very fact-based, showing their customers in real time which parts of the chain were open and closed. And it's really not selling directly, it's really just facts. As different states were closing down and shuttering in place, they were continuing to update this map. And then many brands are lauding the normally unsung heroes during this time. Kroger gives a shout out here from the CEO to his employees, and Rubio's honors healthcare workers. I think we're seeing that a lot in the market right now. It's definitely a trend, and a lot of brands are jumping on that bandwagon. There are also a lot of online education brands that are opening their curriculum to everyone, and offering especially resources that can help train and help you overcome challenges you're having with remote working. This is a very good practice for a brand, because they're offering something for free, and it gives you sort of a warm and fuzzy about that brand, which will remain long after they've taken their curriculum back online and are not offering it free. And then, of course, many people are responding to this crisis, and many brands are responding to this crisis in a way to jump in and help. 90% of respondents recently to an Ad Age survey said, and this was taken in mid-March, that they had changed their messaging since the coronavirus reached pandemic proportions. So 90% of marketers have actually changed their messaging, and many of them are giving back to the community in a lot of different ways. McDonald's says it's donating over 1 million masks in the state of Illinois. Domino's is giving away 10 million slices of pizza to thank first responders. Bacardi and Anheuser-Busch are added to the list of beverage companies retooling their lines for hand sanitizer production. eBay pledged $100 million in support of an accelerator program for retailers who are currently brick and mortar only to get them online quickly. T-Mobile is donating $1 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America for every tweet that has a specific hashtag. Mattel and Fisher-Price are using Barbie and Fisher-Price fabric to make masks, and Carhartt, the workwear brand, is shifting its production to face masks and medical gowns. You've probably all heard that Ford is joining forces with 3M to design air purifying respirators, and they're using existing parts that they have from both of those companies. Google is offering $800 million in aid to small and medium-sized businesses, including $340 million in free ad space. We haven't heard a lot of the details about that, but that is coming, so be on the lookout for that if that's something of interest to you. Aviation Gin kicked off a tip your bartender's effort to all the bartenders that are out of work right now with a $15,000 donation. And some brands are deferring payments for several consecutive months or more to show concern and care for their consumers. And locally, we've got brands like EG's who are donating to food banks and also dropping off food to first responders. So there's a lot of brands out there showing empathy and providing support. And you can say they're all a little different. They have different angles to them. And there might be a way that you can find something that you can support in your efforts from your brand. So another important strategy at this time is to make moves to jump ahead of your competition. And I know some of you are probably thinking, how can I even be thinking of jumping ahead of my competition at a time like this? So while you're rolling up your sleeves and keeping your business going and making key business decisions, it's also a great time to do a review of how you're doing in your marketplace. We know that from previous recessions, and there have been numerous studies about this, that those firms who refocused their spending rather than, sort of reducing it, had a higher profitability as a result and pulled ahead of their competition when times got better. So challenging times can bring great innovation. And I believe that we're seeing a lot of ingenuity and innovation at work all around us right now. So you're going to want to take a look at an honest look at your business and all of your competitors and ask yourself some key questions. What are your differential advantages? What makes you different from your competitors? How are your competitors outpacing you? Are they doing something that you're not? Likely you have staff right now that may have some extra time on their hands. If you were able to apply for a payroll protection program or an SBA loan or grant that allows you to keep your workforce in place, you should be using the next few months to refocus some of your team's work on doing what that brand or competitive audit that you've always wanted to do. You need to be honest with yourself and look at where you're being outperformed, and then make a priority list and work to address those items one by one with renewed energy, knowing that improvement in these areas could really set you up for success in the long term. Sometimes this is the sort of work that we never get to. So now is really the time to focus on it. To position yourself ahead of the competition, there are things your internal team can do. Like we talked about, reviewing your website in comparison to the competitors. Are there features you need to add? Is your online profile with Google updated? And we're going to get into that in a minute, and I'm going to tell you how you need to do that. You could even do some informal polling or some formal research of why people are looking for your services or why they do or don't buy from you. You can also be thinking of how priorities might shift for your services in the future in the minds of your customers, and sort of position yourself to be ahead of that when those changes come. This is the perfect time to retool your organization to come out ahead on the other side. With some planning and work now, you'll be positioned for success in the future. So right now you're really preparing for your business after the crisis. So now that we've talked about some of the considerations for your business strategy, your marketing strategy, and some of the messaging changes that you might need to make, let's talk through your marketing strategies and how you can adjust them to react to the current situation. So at Caliber, we have a graphic that we call the Integrated Marketing Strategy Wheel, something that we created, and we make one of these for almost every one of our clients. And each one looks different because they all have different goals, they're in different industries, and they use different strategies and tactics to reach their audiences. So now is a good time to sort of review what you have. What toolkit do you have? What are the tools that you use to reach your audiences? And what are the different ways that you can reach those audiences now and assess those goals and make some changes. Whether it will be pivoting to into a different business model to provide different products and services, or whether it's just driving short-term cash flow or building up your fan and follower base, you're going to utilize different tactics for each of those types of goals. But all of these tactics work together, and that's why we call it an integrated marketing strategy. They all work together. One particular tactic will not do it all. It's not the end all be all. They all have to work together. And you'll notice that the website is at the center of your marketing universe. And that's because everything you do should lead back to bringing people to your website. Your website is where you can control your message and your content. And unlike what we've seen with platforms on social media like Facebook and Instagram, who control what your followers can see and when, your website is something that you have control over. So now is a great time to make sure that you are where you need to be, and it's all optimized for working best for you and your business. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What should you be doing now with your website? You know, increases to retail websites have been significant in the past month. As you can imagine, people are home and they're searching for everything. They're on their computers a lot more. While the shelter at home restrictions are still in place, it will likely be your greatest resource for customers. So now's the time to make sure that everything you ever wanted to say to your customers is on your website. And we sort of anticipate this being a permanent shift in business, with your customers really relying heavily on your virtual branch, even after these restrictions are lifted. People are going to get used to this, and they're going to, even more than ever, use your website as a place to find out what's happening with your business. This means you're going to need to go to your customers as opposed to waiting for them to come to you. And there's a lot of digital marketing tactics that you can use to lead customers to your website. Some of the best practices with the website are, you know, does a new user know who you are when you land on the site? And they tell what type of business you are. This gives you credibility. And as you know, you've landed on sites before that weren't credible. They were a combination of a lot of different strings of words and things, and that's how you landed on that site, and they didn't look credible to you. So you want to have a page that has your logo prominently up in the upper left-hand corner, and you want to start to build trust with your users that this is a credible place to be. For your content, users really appreciate what we call chunked content. It's not that wall of text that you normally look at that can appear sort of intimidating or time-consuming. You can see here a visual of how a user eye tracks through a page, and they do a lot of skimming and jumping. They look at something and then they jump to the next section, or they jump to a subhead. So you need to make sure that you've got content that matches that style of viewing. You want meaningful subheads, not really clever subheads, but just meaningful ones. Lists of bulleted content is really good, and sort of one idea per paragraph. Half the word count or less than conventional writing. So shorter, more concise, and chunked, as we usually call it. For a good user experience, you also need good quality design. It needs to be uncluttered. It needs to use high quality images, make sure they're not fuzzy or unclear, and a wise use of empty space. You also want really descriptive navigation that matches what your customers are searching for, and it's intuitive for the user to find simply, and refrain from making up really fancy terms. So stick to the terminology that clearly describes your content and features. And don't make your visitors think too much. If they have to overthink using your site, you're going to lose them. So there are a few online marketing strategies we're going to talk through. One of the first things, and I talked about this before, is the Google My Business profile. So if you haven't gone in and claimed your business's Google My Business profile, you need to do that now. And if you have it claimed but haven't gone in and looked at it in a while, this is the time to do that as well. A Google My Business profile is what they call also a knowledge panel. It's on the right-hand side when you do a search for something on Google. You can see this is Kingfishers, and it comes up on the right-hand side. It has a lot of information about their address, their phone number, and you can see Kingfishers actually updated their dine-in and delivery preferences already. You can't dine in, you can't delivery. You can only so people that are keeping up on this right now are others with searchers, because searchers are looking for this type of information right now. And there are tons of different features being added to the Google My Business profiles on, I don't know if it's a weekly, but certainly a monthly basis. They allow you to update reviews. You can add photos, you can add links, and all sorts of things. You can see this is sort of a stacked view of two parts of a very long scrolling Google My Business profile. And in addition to being able to see those things for your customers, you on the back end, when you download the app to your phone, you can take a look at a dashboard that looks like this, that allows you to see how many people have accessed your profile. You can see how many people have searched for you and what the terms were that they searched for. This is where you can update your hours and advertise your new features. And you can do a lot of it right from your mobile app. There's also a lot of features allowing people to post promotions and coupons and other info about your business. And I really suggest you start here to make sure that yours is as up searching for items online right now. And being able to do it on your app is great. Another place that we're seeing a lot of people connecting with customers online right now is through email. You probably can tell that by the slew of COVID-19 responses you got from every brand you follow over the last few months. Your email line to your customers. It's a way that you are able to be your own publisher and push content out to your audiences and tell them what you want to tell them. So I would suggest that you make sure that you're using this channel to its full effect. We're also hearing that more people are using their desktops right now than their phones, which is interesting. It's a sort of a different shift in sort of a device use than we've seen in the past. It's been steadily moving more mobile for the last few years, but right now when people are stuck at home, they actually are using the desktop more. So take advantage of that opportunity and the fact that you can directly connect with your customers by sending them emails that are relevant to how you're shifting your business and how you're changing how you're going to serve them. Well, let's talk about social media for a minute. Social media, of course, I'm sure most of you have a social media profile or two. And of course, this is a great way to keep your customers updated on your current situation. Right now, it also, like email, is another way of giving you a direct line to your followers. And one of social media's benefits, of course, is that it has that immediacy. It's hopefully you have a fan and follower base built up that you've been nurturing for a lot of years. And right now you're going to benefit from having that. Social media is showing exponential growth since the end of March, as people have been isolating and they're looking for content. And there's also, of course, increasingly a need to reach out across social media to stay in touch with families and friends who you can't get together with. So social is really important to people right now. And according to Google, this is what customers are looking for. This is what they're seeing spikes in searches for. They're looking for updates on closures, new procedures, news about your business. They're also looking to see how brands are reacting to the current business environment. And it's a really important time to be really visible on social, as some of the other more traditional forms of marketing have a little delay in the information. You know, several groups in Tucson particularly have emerged on Facebook, including this Tucson Helps Out page. I don't know how many of you have seen this page, but it's a public group where people can post needs, the public can post resources, and they can also coordinate action. So if you're doing something in the community that can help others, or you would like to as a brand, you can post as your business on one of these types of pages to connect with others and to let people know what you're doing. There's also hashtags. Something you need to do some research is what are the hashtags that are being used in either your industry or in your community, so that you can include those in your post. I'm seeing one in the local Tucson community, Tucson Strong, and that's being used quite a bit by a lot of different brands in town. And since people are quite bored at home, I'm starting to see a lot of Instagram challenges popping up, and they're bleeding over into Facebook. Challenges like the C10 Do 10, where you're encouraging people to do at-home workouts. You see somebody do 10 push-ups, and you do a video doing you doing 10 push-ups, or the See a Pup Send a Pup, where you post a puppy post online of your dog. So if your business has a natural connection to one of these challenges, like you're a gym, or maybe you have an office dog, you can jump in on these challenges and stay relevant with your followers and connect with new ones by jumping in and humanizing your brand. You also need to do a social media content checkup to make sure you're staying relevant and appropriate. Many of the channels that most people post on have recurring posts. They have automated posting, and it might not be relevant. I've seen some of that happen. I could tell it was a post that somebody had posted in their Hootsuite, and it just went out by accident. So make sure to re-strategize your posting schedule and your content for what's happening around you, and for your customers. Many brands are showing appreciation for their workers and for others who have helped in the community during this time. And I thought this post by Starbucks sort of reinforced that they're open. They have a drive-through, and you can still go to them through the drive-through. It showed sort of a positive, happy image, which we all sort of need right now. And it thanked first responders and offered them a free coffee or a tea. So I thought that was a very well done post. It was relevant, it was supportive, and in a way in all the areas that we've talked about. So let's talk about SEO, search engine optimization. And search engine optimization are the steps that you take on your website so that you can be found by people searching online. And if you haven't looked at your SEO, then there are many free tools out there that can help you make your site more visible and rank better in searches for your products or services. And you got to remember that what you do in your SEO now will affect your organic search traffic in the coming months. So it's an important step in sort of weathering the storm, in addition to positioning yourself after you get out of the crisis. So here's what Google says the world is searching So assembling such as short-term work employee, mortgage rate suspension, and also people limiting their trips to the grocery store. There's growing interest in questions like, can you freeze this? And home delivery. So if you have information to share that answer people's questions right now about their financial well-being, their food safety, home delivery of their products, or anything that's relevant to those types of things right now, that would be good. They're also searching for new connections and nurturing relationships. So searching for multiplayer video games has spiked globally. And in the past few months, there's a lot of search interest in virtual happy hours, especially in the US. So ways of plugging into those types of trends where people are collecting as a group online is another trend. It's not also about just where they're or what they're searching for, but it's when they're searching. So search interest in do-it-yourself has been peaking midday on the weekend in the US. And we're also seeing an uptick nightly around 10 or 11 p.m. So people are getting online in the evenings to figure out what their project is going to be for the next day. So this insight can help you with scheduling posts on social or delivery of digital ads relating to those topics as well. Of course, we all have seen the praising of the everyday heroes, everyone from the grocery store to our first responders. And those are topics that can be carried out through your social channels as well. And then people taking care of themselves, their own physical and physiological needs, as well as those of friends and loved ones. There have been rising interest in, of course, things like puzzles and virtual tours and things that they can do from home that will keep them busy. There's ways that you can see what people are searching for related to your industry. You can use the Google suggestion bar, which is the bar that comes down as you start to type words. Those are usually based on search volume. And also there's something you can type and do a search for. It's called the Google Keyword Tool. And most of those places will show you what in your industry is being searched for. For instance, you know, people, even though businesses are closed, people are searching for I need a haircut, how to cut my son's hair, how do I cut my hair at home? And if you're a hair salon and you can do a video or content on your homepage about how to cut your hair at home, which sounds counterintuitive, but when you're closed, you're being helpful. And so those people will reward you for that with business when you open back up. So think about ways that you can do that, that you can serve folks in a different way and do that through search. Now, I'm going to give you a few insights by media type. We're going to go through a few of the media types and walk you through some of the key takeaways on the screen of how these mediums are used to their best advantage, and then show you a few local examples. So media consumption is, I'm seeing predicted to rise with an increase of 60% in the next several weeks, and maybe even months. They're saying that could hold out for several months. And they're saying that, it's interesting, they always say, with despite the fact that there's no sports, because a lot of sports is where we get a lot of sort of media consumption. Right now we don't even have that, and everything is spiking. So marketers are moving placements or adjusting their messaging on their media to take advantage of these increased impressions. Early indications are pointing that short-term decrease in spending, but most media, such as TV, are really benefiting from people staying home, tuning into news and streaming programming. So TV viewing is continuing to rise significantly higher than the normal rate. Research is confirming that more households are watching TV, that their hours per household are up, and advertisers have to change their messages to be relevant with that. It's also clear that those brands that continue to watch or to continue to spend on TV are getting more for their money now than with more viewers watching. With radio, a recent survey showed that 62% of those surveyed said our country would not make it through this current crisis without our brands playing a critical role in addressing the challenges we face. So people are looking to brands. And brands are stepping up on many mediums, and radio is no exception. Radio can be changed quickly. It's great for immediacy and for reach. And local stations have the added benefit of being able to report about what's going on in the community. You can localize that message for many different types of audiences. And that can be a really key strategy on radio. Clearly, radio stations have specific audiences they target because of the station format and the varied content. So you can reach specific audiences through radio. And I think we're going to continue to see people using this to connect with their audiences in the future. Outdoor is next. And when I say outdoor, I mean outdoor boards, bus shelters, bus sides. They all encompass the sort of that outdoor or new services. They're pivoting or just thanking responders. Clear Channel gave me a few of their local boards that they're just getting ready to put up or have put up recently. And so these are some brands that you'll probably recognize locally and how they've retooled their messages to do showing support. I think the bottom one even is showing that an event that was canceled was able to donate their board to a nonprofit. Print media are also seeing gains in circulation and web traffic to their online companion sites. Unfortunately, they're seeing declines in advertising. So that's a balance they're trying to figure out right now. So if print is a part of your strategy, you definitely need to do an updated message strategy to update and get the word out about the changes in your business as people are looking for this type of information. And news outlets are the first and foremost on their mind of where to go for that type of information. Locally, brands like our client Hughes Federal Credit Union are letting their members know how they can engage with them online during this time. And this is another example of offering support through various touch points. And this type of message is delivered as an integrated message. I mean, we talked about that integrated strategy, how you have that message and you put it across all of all of the tactics you have in your toolkit. And this is an example of that type of a message. For digital, conversions through digital have really dropped, but they're surging for publishers. Publishers are driving 69% increase in click-through rates right now. So adjusting your digital buys right now where impressions are still strong and making sure you have the right message is really key. Verticals such as business and finance and investing and careers are some of the platforms that are seeing a 73% increase in click-through rates. Home and lifestyle obviously has been seeing significant growth. Health and lifestyle or health and fitness have been seeing significant growth in all areas. So you'll want to tailor your content to the areas that people are interested in. And if your business happens to be one of those verticals, you should be able to capitalize on the high digital performance right now. So we've talked a lot about strategies that you could take and implement in your business right now. Some of the key takeaways are on. You've seen these themes throughout the examples I've provided, and you probably see many of them as you've gone online recently or driven around town. We saw a few weeks of getting into our new at-home routines, but business is back and still moving, and we're seeing marketers and advertisers continuing with plans and making new ones. So right now is a great time for you to craft how you're going to move forward and maybe utilize some of these ideas that we've shared today to build your messaging and your being relevant for the future. And now we will take a few questions.
Does anyone have any questions at this time? I don't have anything on our group chat.
I see some friendly faces there.
It
I couldn't see you all before.
was a great presentation, Kerry.
Thank you. No questions?
We do have one. Can you say a bit more about the digital marketing? The last slide. I'm not sure I know what that is.
Digital marketing covers a lot of different things. It can be advertising and putting ads on, you know, a website like Arizona Daily Star's website, Tucson.com, or dropping it into a site that you happen to type a search in and visit. So there's lots of different ways that you can provide digital advertising. You can drop ads onto Facebook and onto Instagram, and there are so many different aspects and ways to do that. And it all depends on who you're trying to reach and how you're trying to reach them. And so I would suggest doing a little research on that, and maybe Googling different forms of digital advertising. Certainly that Google My Business profile that we talked about has a basic form of digital advertising on there by being able to do a promotion just right on your search feature. And then beyond that, there are paid ads that you can pay for to go out on different channels. And that's sort of all encompassing sort of that digital media realm.
There was another question about is streaming ads qualified?
What was the question?
Would streaming ads qualify?
Yes, streaming ads are considered digital ads as well.
I'm just checking to see if we have anything else. There is another question. Any thoughts on balancing sensitivity to all stress all people are feeling and asking people to help the most vulnerable in our community?
I think the question is sort of, do you ask for folks to help when they're also feeling stressed themselves? Is that sort of what they're asking?
It just says, any thoughts on balancing sensitivity to all stress? Asking people to help the most vulnerable in our community. I'm not exactly sure.
You got it right, Kerry.
I think I find that that sometimes it helps people stress when they're helping others. And so, and you know, we have a lot of people in our community right now at various levels of stress. You know, the difference between a friend who has a first responder in her home, who comes home and they never know whether he's you know, been exposed, to someone who's just has anxiety because they have to stay home and they're not able to go to their office. So there's different varying levels of stress right now. But I think having some sort of normalcy and asking or providing people ways that they can help others is always a good thing. I find that you know, helping others provides that normalcy and can make you feel like things are okay when you're helping someone else, and you find that someone else is maybe having an issue that's bigger than yours. That's always sometimes helpful. So I think that there's definitely a balance. There's a balance with all of this: the sensitivity to how you message it, how you say it, how you're going to. You know, as a brand, you don't have to ask. You can just tell how you're helping, and that just gives folks a warm fuzzy about your brand.
Do we have any other questions? If not, I will go ahead and let everyone sign off. Wishing everybody a happy Easter, a great weekend, stay safe, and hope we see y'all back here again on Monday. Thank you so much, Kerry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. Great presentation.
Bye.